Somebody.
All right, welcome everybody. Another week of previews here, and the theme in this one: Milan. Can there be a Toronto turnaround? Because Milan hasn't been relevant in the LOC since he was named Toronto Turnarounds.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, looking at his keepers and his record, his schedule for this year. I mean, he has some hard matchups, some good matchups in his favor from past history. I think some of those matchups are misleading. I think, he plays me. He's like 5-1 record against me, but I'm pretty sure that one loss is like the last 2 years when I actually started to, my team actually got better. So I think it's going to be a kind of a struggle for him. I mean, we can move on and kind of look at his past history. He's 47, 46. He's above 500. I mean, there's obviously some teams who are not, but he has that 0-2 record in the playoffs. I mean, that's where you make your money, and you're 0-2. You're not making any money there. Well, and then 2 playoff appearances. We said he does have that divisional record, so he did make some money, made his money back 1 year. But he's .505, 12th overall. That's not really doing it for anybody here.
No, he needs to get better, and I'm sure he knows that for sure. 500 record just really means mediocrity, and those 2 playoff appearances, which you'll see on the next slide, basically were when the league started. So he didn't even get his money back. So 2014-15, like I say, he hasn't been relevant since the league was formed, and the ownership back then wasn't like it is today, for sure.
Not even close. The ownership's nothing like it is today. I mean, we've gone through a countless number of players, to make it what it is today. Now it's more competitive. Back then, I mean, there was easy wins. There was US 1, where it was basically, a joke. You could probably played like 3 players and beat them. So yeah, I mean, we're definitely in a different spot now. People are actually trying. Nobody's really selling. And last year there was a couple of people who sold, but nobody's really selling every year to get better for the next year. And especially this year, nobody's going to really be selling because somebody's going down, and it's going to be the first year for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. And like you said, when you look at Milan's schedule here, what stands out to me is, well, you touched on it, 5-1 versus you. The really is a standout of, and it Billsy Bob's of where he had success, but it's against of his division where you see 3-8 versus Krista, 1-7 versus Chris, and 2-5 versus Lucas. And then I also see on the schedule he has that big fat goose egg versus me in 4 matchups. So it's not going to be easy for Milan based on past history, for sure.
For sure. And I was actually surprised, to see that 3-8 against Storm. I mean, Storm's a good player, but I mean, they played each other 11 times. I thought it was a lot closer, 5-6, 6-5, something like that. But 3-8, I was actually surprised. I mean, True North, I mean, he's been a pretty good player. I think maybe last year he was down here, but he's a pretty good. I am getting sucked. I'll admit that my team was horrible. I made shitty trades just to make trades in the beginning. I finally started taking it serious a couple years ago. But then, like Green Lightning 2-5, Fighting Geese 2-3. It's going to be hard for them. I mean, there's good teams on here. Life's a Mitch. I mean, Life's a Mitch is one of those people who scored highest most points last year. Then he plays BC Lions, so but we'll skip that one. So I mean, it's going to be pretty tough for him, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. And when you look at his keepers, he made that trade. Saquon got Zeke, right? So we'll see how that helps. Obviously, Saquon's coming off a major knee injury, so at least Zeke will be running right out of the gate. Calvin Ridley, it's clear Julio's gone. And if Tennessee doesn't get Julio, A.J. Brown's going to get every ball thrown to him. So he might have a decent keeper group here if Antonio Gibson paddens out.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, T. Higgins, I still think he's going to be used over in Cincy. I just said A.J. Brown. I mean, if Julio doesn't go there, I mean, who else is really going to catch the ball there? Maybe Frisker might catch a couple passes. But then you have Gibson. Honestly, though, I kind of would want to keep Saquon just because of all the firepower they have passing the game in Dallas. I mean, you're going to want to throw your 3 wide receivers there. I mean, one of them's going to catch it. But yeah, he has Ridley, as you said. So I mean, his keeper core is pretty good. Moving over to his picks, he does have 3rd overall, so he's probably going to get a decent, running back. He doesn't have a 2nd, but I mean, and then a 10th, but everything else is pretty much intact. So So he has a keeper group. He has decent pick at 3. I think he's gonna be at least a contender. You would think.
Yeah, but the problem is he can get obviously a new guy at third pick, but then he doesn't pick for 40 picks, and that's going to be a long wait. And I know he said third pick up for grabs, and I think that's probably smart. Maybe he could get a guy late in the first round and then a second rounder. I'm thinking Brandon and the architect. He's got that draft capital. He can move up, get third, 4, and all of a sudden Brandon could be looking at maybe Jamar Chase, Travis Etienne, or something like that, and totally rebuild his team. And it'd be interesting to see what kind of offers will go Milan's way after this preview.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, honestly though, I think there's another team out there who should definitely be making a pick. He is a team that I usually give a hard time about his drafting. So we all should know who I'm talking about. But I think this trade is right up his alley. I mean, he has 2 or 3 first rounders. He has 2 or 3 second rounders. Make the move. Yeah, I mean, it's time. Yeah, let's put it. Tell me to shut up and make a move here.
Like it.
And then looking at his later picks, he does have 2 12th rounders. One, he has 1 on 11th through 13th through 17th, no 18, 19, or 20th. And then he does have those 4 picks in the 27th and 2 in the 28th. So I mean, he does have later picks, and they're all crapshoots.
Yeah, well, if you look at it, 7 picks there in the last 3 rounds, that's almost a quarter of our picks. So
yeah,
a quarter of the roster is really going to be practice squad kind of guys. Really, when you look at lineups.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the architect, you might take James Robinson in one of those picks, or pick him up after you pick. So I mean, you got those are your picks. You're gonna be trying to hope somebody sneaks in, somebody gets released, and you got that backup guy ready to go.
Totally.
Yeah, switching over to the LOD, we got Zebras. She's our first playoff team this year. Well, that we're gonna talk about this year. I mean, she's 13-13. Last year she went 8-5. So obviously, I mean, she won 5-8 last year. She has 500, her first playoff appearance last year. And for most of the year, I actually thought she was going to win it all. I mean, until the tires blew out at the very end, but she was my dark horse.
Yeah, she definitely improved last year, and a lot of it came down to the draft picks. Mm-hmm. And you'll see it when we see her roster, but she got 3 running backs in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah,
Jonathan Taylor, then she picked Zach Moss, then she picked Antonio Gibson. And when you look at the roster, all 3 of those guys are her starting running backs now. Clearly the weak spot here, only 1 quarterback, and it's Carson Wentz. Still a lot of question marks to me. And when you look at the defense, I think she's solid at linebacker and defensive back. It's just maybe the defensive line is a clear weakness to me on her roster.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think in the second round, she has a chance to pick up a good DL there. I mean, I think Wentz is going to be pretty decent in Indy. I'm not going to say he's going to be in the top 1 or top 1 or 2 tiers of quarterbacks, but I think he will fall in 3 or 4. Definitely see an improvement of last year. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, I know Marlon Mack's back, but I mean, it's definitely Jonathan Taylor's show. Gibson, there's no other. I mean, there's McKendrick, there's Peyton Barber and McKendrick on the team for the football team. Le'Veon Bell, he's still a free agent, and Latavius Murray, he's a good handcuff there. Looking at our wide receivers, I kind of like him. Thielen, he's getting a little older. Woods, same thing, but then she has Slayton, and this more goes to what the Giants are doing. They have 6 pretty decent wide receivers. I mean, they got Galladay, Ross, Tony over there as well. Shepard's still there. The wide receiver core for the Giants is pretty good. So it's kind of like, a lot of mouths to feed. And I think they have Kyle Rudolph now also with going to Evan Ingram. I mean, there's 8 mouths to feed and, pretty good pass catchers over there. I mean, to me, that's her only, downfall with Slayton. I mean, Slayton obviously by himself is an excellent keeper there. Her tight ends are pretty good. I'm pretty sure she made that, that trade this year for Tanya with you. Was that this year or was that the LOC?
I think I can't remember how she got Tanya, to be honest.
Yeah, I think she traded it for you. I mean, that's a good pickup there. But I just said her wide receiver, her linebackers, D-backs are pretty good. I mean, she has a solid team. She needs to, make that quarterback pick at 9. I mean, it's honestly, let's be honest. Unless the Illuminati do something crazy and they don't take a running back at 4, I mean, she's gonna have a pick between Fields and Trey Lance. I mean, unless somehow Lawrence falls to 9, but I don't really see that going past 1. But I mean, she's going to get a decent, quarterback at 9, and then she can make up her DL at whatever that is in the second round. So I mean, she's definitely going to improve her team. She's going to have a pretty good roster, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that 9 pick is going to be an interesting one, I think, for her. I know her and I have talked about it, and it'll be interesting to just kind of see who falls. And I think you're right. The game changer there on who she does decide to pick is really that pick at 4 with the Illuminati.
Yeah.
What's he do? Does he go running back? I mean, the only quarterback on his roster is TB12, and he's not getting any younger either. So it'll be interesting to see what Robert and the Illuminati does. And that's going to be like the real life kind of scenario where the whole draft changes at pick 4 when Robert and the Illuminati drafts.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for you, 100% we there. I mean, the first 3 picks are probably set in stone already. 4 is when the draft starts. And for her, it's, she honestly, I think she's hoping that he takes, a running back there. I mean, I'm hoping he takes a running back there too. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I mean, definitely for her, waiting for a running back there is most important.
I agree. And when you look at the rest of her picks, she never made any trades. So she just picks every 16th pick from there on. And, should be pretty easy draft to plan for. She had a great draft last year, but of course she was picking really high in the draft. 9th this time around, still not bad, right in the middle to still get somebody good and make a difference on her team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she's definitely going to have that chance. And I'm excited for the rest of the draft previews coming up.
Absolutely. So next week we're going to feature 3 teams. We'll finish off with with 2 more teams that did not make the playoffs in the LOC, and that's Krista and Storm and Brian and the 12th man. And then we'll continue with our playoff teams in Dynasty as we'll feature myself and Agent Steele.
Sweet. Well, I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Sounds good.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.